Would they hang around for footage of Lily and Archie at Althorpe? Like, you know, at Diana's gravesite, photographs? Oh, yeah, absolutely. That would be gold for Harry, for Meghan. Well, let's be honest, for Meghan. Harry would be stupid enough to believe that his wife just wants the children to connect with their grandmother. Harry, they might feel the spirit of your mother like.
There was going to be a stunt for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's latest visit to the United Kingdom, and given the 30th anniversary of Princess Diana's death is coming up next year, and we do believe that Harry is working on some type of major project to infuriate and devastate his brother around that anniversary, that the stunt was probably going to involve his mother in some way. And there's all of these clues about the fact that Diana is constantly on the mind of Meghan as well, with Stephanie Sidley pointing out that her latest as ever video shows Meghan wearing a new ring that resembles Princess Diana's and Princess Catherine's engagement ring. Stephanie says, "What the F?" and thanks Turquoise 2 for the intel. And there you can see up close that there certainly seems to be a similarity. But next month's visit has raised a lot of suspicion about what Harry and Meghan are intending to do at Althorpe, the resting place of Diana, which has been closed, a scheduled closure, unusual at this time of year, for 2 days when Harry and Meghan are here with their children. And royal YouTube sensation, according to Taz, who will be here shortly, has this to say. Harry and Meghan were bringing the kids for footage for the Secret Diana documentary. The children at her gravesite at Althorpe would be gold for Netflix, but they knew if they brought the children over to do that and didn't take them to see the king, it would make them look bad. So they sprung it on the palace. Hence why Harry has suddenly had a change of heart, even though his security demands have not been met. They know there's a good chance the king can't drop his diary at a few weeks' notice. It's a win for them if he doesn't meet them, as they can't peddle the victim narrative, but if the king does, both they and the children increase their royal relevancy. Now, Tasha's going to be here to explain in just one moment, but first, let me take you through this Daily Mail reporting in terms of what they describe as a hugely unusual clue that Harry is going to take the children to Diana's grave. This was first reported by Richard Eden, who said the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are expected to bring their children to see King Charles for the first time in 4 years, and they may also make a poignant visit to pay tribute to their late grandmother when they travel to Britain from California next month. I can disclose that Althorpe, the stately home where Princess Diana grew up, is to be closed to the public for 2 days while Prince Harry and Meghan are in the country with Archie and Lily. This is highly unusual. A source familiar with the Althorpe estate tells me once the house is open to visitors, it's not usually closed. The Northamptonshire estate, run by Diana's brother Earl Spencer, is open to the public for only 2 months of the year, July and August. If the family do visit, it would give Diana's grandchildren the opportunity to visit her grave for the first time. The princess is buried on an island in an ornamental lake in the gardens of Althorpe. Harry rowed Meghan in a boat to the island when they stayed at Althorpe in 2022, on the 25th anniversary of his mother's death in a car crash in Paris. At long last, I was bringing the girl of my dreams home to meet my mum. Remember, that's what Harry wrote in Spare. After Harry placed flowers on her grave, he left his wife alone. When I came back, Meg was kneeling, eyes shut, palms against the stone. Earl Spencer invited his sisters, Diana's sisters, to join them on that occasion so that the Sussexes could spend time with Harry's aunt. Harry and Meghan officially coming to Britain to publicise the Invictus Games. Now, the regional proximity is pretty close. Althorpe, just 1 hour's drive from Birmingham, where that 1-year visit is due to take place. Now, when Annie Granny said there is no way on God's green earth Charles Spencer will allow any filming at his sister's grave, they keep it covered year-round because of drones trying to get a pic, not a single chance, and if they sneaked it, he would go absolutely ballistic. According to Taz, replied, "The Queen didn't think they'd film inside palace grounds, but they did. Even her childhood tea house." So, Tash, you think something is clearly going on in
Yeah,
terms of the fact that they are secretly working on these plans for the 30th anniversary, and this could be the ideal opportunity over those 2 days, quite a lengthy period of time, to
yeah,
film something, to create some type of imagery, to take some
yeah.
photos for whatever becomes the 30th anniversary project.
Something about this latest royal story simply doesn't sit right with me. Every time Prince Harry and Meghan Markle return to the headlines, another wave of speculation follows. And this time, it's centered on one of the most emotional places connected to the royal family, Princess Diana's final resting place. Now, before I go any further, I want to be clear that much of what I'm about to discuss comes from public commentary, reported claims, and ongoing speculation, not established fact. But when you start putting the pieces together, I can certainly understand why so many royal watchers are asking questions. Was this visit simply about honoring Diana's memory? Or is there a much bigger strategy unfolding behind the scenes? Let me know where you stand before we even begin, because this story only becomes more controversial the deeper you look.
I do not trust Harry and Meghan. And when they have put out statements saying, of course, we're not working on a Diana documentary, I personally do not believe them. They are both very obsessed with Diana. Harry has taken ownership over Diana's memory. Meghan likes to dress like Diana. It's not once or twice, it's been continuously. It's not just from a few years ago. Her latest thing to do with a PR company, they made me dress like Diana. Everybody said she was going to say that at some point, and there you go. No one in their right mind would have made her dress like the late Princess Diana. But the reason why I also think this whole trip, there's something more to it, because Harry has not had the decision from Ravik. And Harry knows to get the security that he needs for each visit, it's a case by case assessment by Ravik and the police when he gives them 28 or 30 days' notice when he comes to the UK. He has sprung this. The children coming, we knew Harry was coming, but he has sprung it a couple of weeks before they come over, not giving the Met Police the full 30 days. Now, I don't believe that, I personally believe that he didn't initially tell them that the children were coming because they weren't coming. And I just think the way this is all played out, it's just been one big explosion. And you think that Harry and Meghan would be watertight if they know that they were going to come and bring the children to the UK. They would have made sure that Ravik and the police had more than enough time, maybe even longer than a month, to make sure that they would give them extra police protection, obviously, because they'd have their children with them. So they didn't just spring this on the king and the palace, they've also sprung this on the Met Police and Ravik. So it makes me think, okay, well, they've got to have been really desperate to bring the children over to not have that in place. And then when it started falling into place, reading that they may be going to Althorpe, how close Althorpe is to Birmingham, and then the dates that Althorpe closes, it does close actually. I think it's every year for those dates. So I don't think it's been shut down specifically for Harry and Meghan. But the timing for me is just a little bit too suspect, just because of years of covering Harry and Meghan, all of the games, all of the lies, everything that we've seen since Megxit. They plot, they plan. And this to me just seems like something out of Meghan and Harry's playbook, hence why they suddenly turn around and said, do you know what? The kids are coming. Again, a security conscious couple that want to make sure that their children are safe in this country and refuse to bring them so far would keep it quiet that the children are coming with them. The security teams that work with them would advise them, we will leave that quiet so the members of the public don't know until much, much closer to, to the time. And yeah, I mean, this whole thing has just got chaos written all over it. And I think that they would do something like that. And it's also Netflix are hanging on to them. They're throwing them little tidbits and bones. I don't think Netflix are hanging around for Carly Fortune's book. I don't think Netflix are hanging around because they might buy some sorts of war film that Harry and Meghan are producing. Would they hang around for footage of Lily and Archie at Allthorpe? Like, at Diana's gravesite, photographs? Oh, yeah, absolutely. That would be gold for Harry, for Meghan. Well, let's be honest, for Meghan. Harry would be stupid enough to believe that his wife just wants the children to connect with their grandmother. Harry, they might feel the spirit of your mother like I did, and he'd just follow along with it because it's Harry. But yeah, I think this is more to do with what this trip is about than what it was a reconciliation with the king, because Harry would have planned this a long time ago. And this has all just sprung up out of nowhere in the space of a couple of weeks. And it's absolute chaos. So that to me, it makes me believe they are up to something and it's never anything good.
And
So,
Tash, let's
that's
just be honest about it. Earl Spencer, and there's a huge amount of issues with that man, he has sided.
Marriage. How many marriages is he on now?
Yeah, he's not a good guy. We don't even need to go into it, is he? He's not a good guy.
That's another video.
Yeah, exactly. I can't even really be bothered with the
No,
guy, to be
no.
honest. But let's just be honest about it in relation to this story, Tash. He has sided with Harry because Harry is much, much more interested in him because he has turned on his other relatives.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Harry stayed with him reportedly when he came over for his other uncle's funeral, I think it was. You might want to correct me there, Dan, but I'm pretty certain that's where he stayed.
That's right.
When he came over.
And he invited Earl Spencer, remember, to the Invictus event at St. Paul's, which was not attended by any members of the royal family. And so it felt like it was quite a moment.
And I think Charles Spencer also enjoys sticking it to the king and the royal families as well, royal family as well, as much as Harry does. Harry and Charles Spencer, I can see, use each other in that way to be like, this will rub Charles up the wrong way, because he's obviously always been not a big fan of the royals, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly, Tash.
But before you continue, sorry, people have said to me that they do not believe wholeheartedly, they do not believe that Charles Spencer would allow footage again. He would ever allow footage of Diana's gravesite. It's been protected for so long. But I mean, could he make exceptions for Archie and Lily? Or could Harry and Meghan just say, no, of course we won't. Of course we won't take pictures. Of course we won't. I don't trust them. They're a couple of snakes.
No,
anyway.
Indeed. Speaking of people we don't trust, Tash, there was an extraordinary U-turn this week by one of the main columnists. You described them, Tash, as the Wicked Witch columnists in the Daily Mail. Now, we've already seen a U-turn from Liz Jones. Now Amanda Platel. And why this U-turn is so significant, Tash, is I just want to take you through some of her recent columns, okay? If we look at these headlines, look at this. Andrew's horrible stench is now engulfing William and Kate. And this was just one of many. Look, there's so many. Be careful, Kate. You don't realize it, but your inner circle may have inadvertently stabbed you in the back. She wrote, Kate is back, but it's time she faces up to this uncomfortable truth. There was Prince William needing to man up because his new obsession suggests he's forgotten everything the Queen stood for. Selfish William is in serious trouble. The chickens are coming home to roost with grave consequences. There were just so many of them. The royals just don't get it. The monarchy's over, she said. William and Kate, this was another one that became the prince and princess of boring. William is the monarchy's next big problem. I mean, Tash, so much negativity. That's just a little selection. And a lot of it, and I know we slightly disagree on this, but a lot of my theory on this is that she has been particularly pushed by Tobin Andre, who's now the King's communications secretary, main courtier, who used to be her boss at the Daily Mail, to be pretty nasty about William. Anyway, total U-turn this week, which was good, but totally bizarre, because she now seems to understand that actually Harry and Meghan are the problem. With this new column headlined, Why Kate Must Stand Firm and Protect Her Family from the Sussexes' Manipulation, and most of all, her children. Let me take you through a bit of it, Tash, before you respond. Platel wrote, when the King graciously offered his younger son an olive brunch last week by setting aside time for Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lily on their first visit to Britain as a family in 4 years, there was one person who came to the forefront of my mind, Kate. Now, of course, we note the Daily Mail still refers to Catherine as Kate, which I think is rude. Frankly, I'm less concerned by the psychodrama between father and son than about the Princess of Wales. How she must feel about the homecoming of grifter Meghan, who has done so much to discredit her, coming back here to be embraced by the king at the heart of the royal family. The king has even offered the Sussexes a royal residence to use during their stay. Not very happy, one would imagine. It would only be human for her to feel slightly betrayed by such a heralded reunion. After all, both Sussexes have been so cruel to her. Like millions of loyal monarchists, I support William on this. I mean, is this what you call support for William? Because I've just literally shown you all of those headlines. You were saying that he was going to be the downfall of the monarchy, Amanda. But okay, there is no place in Britain anymore for Harry or Meghan. Cool, we agree. She says, I hope William keeps his pledge to maintain his distance from his brother for everyone's sake, not least for Kate's. Well, I'm not worried about that at all. William will keep his pledge on that front. The thought of the Sussexes swanning back, being embraced by the king, even if it is in private, as it must be, no photo ops for any new Netflix show, please, and seizing every PR opportunity to promote Harry's 2027 Invictus Games countdown is simply nauseating. For them to be given a world stage on which to perform as the prodigal son and daughter-in-law after they have done so much damage to the royal family beggars belief. Indeed, any sign of a Sussex lovin' risks King Charles losing support, his credibility, and his legacy. As a former spin doctor, I know optics are everything. So here's my message of warning to the king. Tread carefully here. We all understand your desire as the father still undergoing cancer treatment to see your son and grandchildren. But for God's sake, manage this visit wisely. Not least for Camilla, your loyal wife, who has also been attacked by Harry and must detest him as much as we do, nor should there be any public briefings about the reunion, or you will risk alienating the love and respect of your eldest son. William, who has stood by your side, fighting the good fight since the Sussexes departed. And William, you must stand firm and protect your family from the Sussexes' manipulation, which some have already derided as the emotional blackmail of a frail and elderly father being held hostage by his opportunistic son and his grasping wife. Most of all, William, protect Kate. My final advice goes to Princess Catherine herself. Hallelujah! She's actually referred to the Princess of Wales by her real name for the first time ever. Maybe there is progress. There is absolutely no pressure, as some may argue in the coming weeks, for you to meet Meghan, nor for your children, who you have raised so beautifully, to meet their cousins Archie or Lilibet. Stand tall, stand proud, know you are loved by millions, and see off the Sussex invasion, please, for all our sakes. Now, Tash, you reacted a bit like me, posting on X, holy shit! Can someone please go and check in on Amanda Patel? Sorry, she's released an article that made absolutely no swipes at Prince William and even referred to Catherine as Princess Catherine. It's like invasion of the body snatchers. Now, Tash, okay, on the one hand, maybe you can look at this just from a straight up perspective and think Amanda Patel has been reading the comments on Mail Online, has been seeing how she has lost the support of the British public, and perhaps that could be the reason behind the U-turn. But I'm always more suspicious than that. What do you think's really going on?
I'm going to go with aliens, to be fair. I think it's the only practical answer. I mean, I saw, because I don't read anything to do with Liz Jones or Amanda Patel because I find them so disgusting in their writing about Catherine and William, so I make a point. But then when I saw the headline, I thought, oh, do you know what? All right, fine. I'm just going to have a look. And then I got a paragraph in, and then I was like, what? What is this? What sorcery has gone on? And then as I read the entire article, to finish up with Princess Catherine, well, I near enough fell off my chair. It's so bizarre because it's not she's just given a couple of compliments. This is like someone else has written the article, but it says Amanda Patel. There was no, she often writes with like a double-edged sword. She's very sharp-tongued, isn't she? There's always digs and swipes, and there wasn't not a single swipe in there. And that's for her suddenly saying, William, you need to take my advice and take care of your wife. He's been doing that against bitches like you for
Yes.
Lord knows how long.
Yes.
So pretty rich
For
coming
2
from
years
you.
now.
But as to why I think she suddenly had a change of heart, she's lulling everybody in so her subscriber count goes back up and people think maybe she's not such a witch after all, and then she'll destroy people again. But yeah, I mean, honestly, aliens. It's the only logical answer because that was too far out there for me to work out.
Yeah, it was very odd. It was very odd.
Yeah.
And look, I don't mind people changing their mind, but Tash, I always believe there should be an acknowledgement in there. That's what I was
Right.
struggling with this column. It's like, we're not
Yeah.
stupid. We know everything
No.
you've said. So you have to explain, like, why have you changed your
Yeah.
mind? What's
Something,
happened?
break people in gently, but a little bit of an explanation, maybe a little bit of humble pie or something, but to just turn around and be like, no, Catherine is loved by millions. She's not boring Kate, the Princess Catherine. Yeah. So I just I found the whole thing bizarre. I mean, Liz Jones, she has softened somewhat, but she's still quite, fork tongue, that one. But yeah, I just found the whole thing rather bizarre, and I had to read it a couple of times really to make sure I wasn't missing something. But no, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, it
Very
was
interesting,
very
that one.
interesting indeed. Another weird moment of the week, Tash. Do we finally have the reason why Andrew Mountbatten Windsor had that massive bruise on his eye? This is after the Daily Mail reported that Air Miles Andy is back. And that is because they say that he secretly sneaked away from his exile on the Sandringham estate for a luxury freebie holiday courtesy of an Arab billionaire. Now, this is described as a relaxing weekend break in rural Brittany in France as a VIP guest of the horse breeding tycoon from the UAE. This is the sportswear billionaire Mohammed A. Baker. He has an acclaimed stud farm in a rural location close to Saint Malo in northwest France. But intriguingly, the Mail reports the trip may have ended in a serious mishap because just 72 hours after his return to his home in Norfolk, Andrew was photographed with a badly bruised face, meaning the mystery injury which caused it is likely to have occurred during his stay in France. So it could have been a horse riding injury, let's be honest. The former prince is understood to have travelled from Dinard Airport from Norwich International by private jet, laid on by Mr. Baker on Saturday, May the 30th, spending 3 days at the remote stable complex before returning on the evening of Monday, June 1st. The widely discussed bruise photo was taken on the morning of June the 4th. During his free trip, Andrew rode horses on a sweeping French beach, played in a historic courtyard, and was lavishly entertained with meals prepared by a private chef. So, Tash, this one has divided opinion because
Yeah.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, as things stand, is an innocent man. He is
Mhm.
subject to a police investigation. He has been arrested. You could argue whether the optics of this are good, but legally, he's not doing anything wrong. I think for me, what's quite interesting about it is that it very much hints at the fact that he still does have these Middle Eastern connections. Because remember, for some time, there was speculation, could Andrew actually just quit the UK altogether
Hmm.
and end up sort of living in exile in a mansion provided by a billionaire in the UAE or Saudi? I know there were certain suggestions around that. And obviously, it's interesting that he still does have close contact with some of these men who have almost like unending wealth because potentially money is going to be a
Yeah.
big problem for him. Others say he shouldn't be doing it at the moment. He should just be staying in the cottage and not leaving the cottage and allowing the process, the judicial process to go through. Where do you
I'm not
stand?
shocked that Andrew still has friends in the Middle East. It's not like there's not lots of billionaire and millionaire, morally corrupt people that live out there. It's where a lot of them seem to go to. So I was surprised that Andrew didn't pack up and go over there. But he's not under house arrest. He has been publicly tarred and feathered. He's got no arrests. He's got no charges. There's, a lot of people have connected him to various crimes, but until that happens, I mean, he's lost his princely title. He has been, completely humiliated. Yeah, I think he had someone try and break into his home. There's a very good chance that Andrew probably has quite a serious security threat over him because of his associations with Epstein. I don't care if Andrew goes on holiday and sees his friends. He's not under house arrest. I don't care about hearing anything about Andrew, to be honest with you, until, we find out that he has actually been arrested, he's been charged, he's in court. I don't know what people really expect. He has been shunned, he's been tarred, he's been feathered, and as it stands in a court of law, he still hasn't actually been convicted of doing anything. So if he wants to go play with some more morally corrupt men over in the Middle East, fine. I'd just rather not know about it. I really couldn't care less about Andrew. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Andrew, really. Not really much of a thought at all, I'm afraid.
As I looked at everything surrounding this upcoming visit, I couldn't help noticing how quickly the conversation shifted away from the Invictus Games and straight toward Princess Diana. That immediately caught my attention, because Diana's legacy has always carried enormous emotional weight, not only for Prince Harry, but for millions around the world. Now, reports suggest that Harry and Meghan could potentially visit Diana's grave during their trip, and that's where the speculation truly begins. Some commentators believe this would simply be a private family moment, while others suspect there may be far more behind the timing. The fact that next year marks the 30th anniversary of Diana's passing has only fueled those theories even further. I'm not saying any of these claims are true, but I do think it's fascinating how quickly people have started connecting different events together. When multiple stories begin pointing in the same direction, naturally people begin asking questions. Do you think people are reading too much into this? Or does the timing feel unusually significant? Let me know your thoughts, because this debate is only getting started. One detail that immediately stood out to me was the discussion surrounding Althorpe Estate. Reports indicated that the estate would be closed to visitors during part of the period Harry and Meghan were expected to be nearby, and that single detail sparked an avalanche of speculation online. Some people viewed the closure as completely routine. Others believed it was simply too much of a coincidence. That's where public opinion became deeply divided. I've watched royal stories unfold for years, and one thing I've learned is that timing often becomes just as controversial as the event itself. Whether there's a genuine connection or not, people naturally begin searching for patterns. Could this simply be an ordinary scheduling decision? Or are people connecting dots that don't actually belong together? That's exactly why this story has generated so much discussion. What do you think? Would you have questioned the timing too? What makes this conversation even more emotional is Harry's own history with Althorpe. He has openly written about visiting his mother's grave, describing deeply personal moments that clearly meant a great deal to him. No one can deny that Diana remains one of the defining figures in his life. Because of that, I completely understand why any visit connected to her memory immediately attracts worldwide attention. At the same time, critics argue that Diana's legacy has increasingly become part of the public narrative surrounding Harry and Meghan. Supporters completely reject that criticism, insisting Harry simply wants to preserve his mother's memory. And honestly, that's where this debate becomes incredibly emotional. People aren't simply arguing about a visit. They're arguing about intention. They're arguing about legacy. They're arguing about family. Whose side are you on here? Do you believe Harry is simply honoring his mother? Or do you understand why some critics remain skeptical? Another question that immediately grabbed my attention was whether this trip was truly about reconciliation. Reports suggested Harry and Meghan may also hope to see King Charles during their visit. On the surface, that sounds like positive news. After all, many people would love to see father and son rebuild their relationship. But critics quickly argued that the timing complicated everything. Some suggested that if a meeting happened, it would strengthen Harry and Meghan's royal relevance. Others believed that if no meeting happened, it could create yet another chapter of public disappointment and renewed discussion about family divisions. Again, these are competing interpretations, not established facts. Still, it's remarkable how almost every royal development now seems to produce completely opposite reactions, depending on who is watching. Would you welcome a reconciliation? Or do you think too much has happened for that relationship to ever fully recover? Perhaps the most controversial part of this entire discussion revolves around media speculation. Some commentators have openly questioned whether future documentaries or television projects could involve Diana's legacy. To be absolutely clear, there is no confirmed evidence that any such project exists in the way critics speculate. However, the mere possibility has ignited passionate debate across social media. Some viewers believe these theories go far beyond the available evidence. Others insist that nothing involving Harry and Meghan happens without a larger communication strategy. Whether you agree or disagree, one thing is impossible to ignore. The public isn't simply watching events anymore. They're constantly trying to predict the next move before it even happens. And perhaps that's exactly why every single appearance becomes its own controversy. When I step back and look at this entire situation, one thing becomes crystal clear to me. The story is no longer just about Harry. It's no longer just about Meghan. It's no longer even just about Diana. It's about trust. Every new headline is now viewed through years of previous controversies, family disagreements, interviews, documentaries, memoirs, and public statements. That means even completely ordinary events can quickly become the center of extraordinary speculation. Some people believe Harry and Meghan deserve the benefit of the doubt. Others believe every move deserves careful scrutiny. Wherever you stand, one thing is certain. The royal family remains one of the most watched institutions in the world, and every decision, whether public or private, continues to spark passionate debate across the globe. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think this entire controversy has been blown out of proportion? Or do you believe there really is more happening behind the scenes than we're being told? Whose perspective makes the most sense to you? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me for the next royal story, because something tells me this saga is far from over.